Kongversation. I've just met Donald Trump on the beautiful Trump National Golf Club. It's the pinnacle of the luxury public golf experience. With world-renowned restaurants, unmatched service, exclusive amenities, and the most spectacular panoramic Pacific Ocean views. Trump National has no equal.
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell, and for the second week in a row, I'm joined by Nick. Hi, Nick.
My brain hurts.
Oh, do you need to see a doctor?
No, I'm just teasing what we're talking about.
Wait, we're talking about something?
I hope so.
I was just going to talk about Banjo-Tooie for a second week.
That works for me too.
All right, well, great.
I have it right here.
I have further thoughts about the novella, and
right.
First of all, let's go line by line. I really want to dissect page 4, paragraph 3, sentence 2, because I really...
Let me get to that. My pages are kind of stuck together here.
Oh, well, that's really hard to do in a digital copy, Nick.
No, I printed it out.
Oh, well, I'm glad...
Yeah.
At least you have backups then.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in case there's, something ever happens with the electrical grid where the entire grid goes down.
You got to prepare.
You're a prepper. You're a doomsday prepper with your...
I'm a Poon Day prepper.
Yeah. Yeah, you're in the bunker with your erotica from children's games from the late 90s. That's that and canned food. Those are the essentials.
Yeah, that episode will definitely win an iTunes award of some kind, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. All right, well, no, this week we are discussing the recent reveals, I guess, if you could call it that, from Rare concerning the game It's Mr. Pants. We'll get into all of that here after we do some due diligence. Are you ready to shamelessly shill our wares, Nick?
I'm strapped in.
Again, we're not talking about Banjo-Tooie.
Oh, okay. Let me just put it away. Yes, I'm ready.
All right. You put it away awfully quick. I somehow doubt it's actually been put away.
Well, I threw it in the trash can next to your Bible.
Oh, okay. Yes, that...
Not my Bible. Mine's
my infamous moment of outreach on the Facebook page, circa 2013.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, support TK Vine on Patreon. DKVine.com/Patreon. We got all sorts of crap we can give you if you do. And I say crap in the most endearing version of the word. It's actually quite valuable collectibles, such as
they're trinkets of
stickers and digital copies of Brothers Bear posters. You know, the essentials.
Which you can then print out and throw away.
DK Vine on Patreon. It's the best decision you'll ever make. Also, check out DK Vine on DK Vine. DKVine.com. It's the website this is all based around. We also have a forum on said website at dkvine.com/forum. Nick, what would you like to say about the forum?
I would probably say a couple months ago, like on a Tuesday, was the best time to join, probably.
So we've already missed that window.
Yeah, but it's coming back up. Like next month on a Wednesday would be the best time to join, I think.
All right. How can we tell when's the best time to join the DK Vine forum?
Just send me an email, and I'll check the calendar, and I'll let you know.
Okay. You have a dowsing rod that you walk through the fields, and you're like, right over here, this spot. This spot is the best place to join the DK Vine forum.
Yeah, your location when you sign up is very important as well.
We need a well. That's what we need to do. We need a well to scoop out the best times and the best places to join the DK Vine forum.
Exactly.
All right.
But yeah, right now is the best time. Let's not speed around the bush here.
Okay. I guess the dowsing rod lied. All right. Yeah, now's the best time to join the DK Vine forum.
But if you're listening to this like afterwards, like next week, it won't anymore be the time.
So you better get on it, is what you're saying.
Yes, get on it.
All right. So follow DK Vine on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. And also subscribe to us on YouTube. You might be listening to this show on YouTube. But if not, you definitely want to check out our YouTube channel. We've got lots of video content coming your way on a weekly basis.
And if you are listening to it on YouTube, click that little thumbs up.
Thank you. Yes. Give us a thumbs up and be supportive in the comments. Give Joe Mudd a happy day by adding to the YouTube comments. He loves reading them.
He prints them out.
He prints them out and makes them sticky. Yes. Finally, the Kongversation. Subscribe to us on iTunes. That's where most people listen to the show, and it's really handy. It just gets shot right into your Apple device or wherever you have the iTunes app, and then you can listen to us. You can
now see that's all Apple and everything, but I'm not a Michael Fassbender fan, so I use Stitcher. Are we on there?
We're on Stitcher as well.
Right on. Perfect.
Yeah. We're sticking it to Michael Fassbender, and as opposed to Michael Fassbender sticking it to us. And judging from the movie Shame, he would quite easily do that.
It's nothing to be ashamed of.
That's right. They call him Magneto because his pole is always facing north.
And we're also on
SoundCloud. Ooh. We're on there as well.
That sounds cool.
That's right. So we're all over. And also, call the DK Vine hotline at 1-281-410-KONG. We're not taking any calls this week, but rest assured, we'll be taking calls in the future. And you can get your voice on this mess of a show.
It's worth it.
It's worth it, yeah. Your life will be given meaning by being on the Kongversation. All right, enough of that. Let's so unclean, chilling for ourselves. But we're here to talk about Mr. Pants yet again. Now,
yes,
I guess this is the first time you've really discussed Mr. Pants on the Kongversation, Nick. Usually it's Chad and me who talk about.
And I should give a little disclaimer. Who's Mr. Pants?
Excuse me? Well, you know who Mr. Pants is.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I love Mr. Pants.
Yeah.
He's the greatest.
And that's one reason I wanted to have you on this episode, Nick. Not only will you be able to contribute to some of the music discussion, but you'll also be able to just share your enthusiasm for Mr. Pants, because you are one of the Mr. Pants aficionados on DK Vine.
Yes, I love the guy.
You love the guy, yeah. So, first of all, I should point you to the direction of our It's Mr. Pants Spotlight episode. We've already done one. It was in March 2015. That's actually episode 309 of the Kongversation. If you want an easy cheat sheet, just go back. It's on YouTube. It's actually not on SoundCloud, but you can easily find it on YouTube and iTunes and Stitcher. So and on DKVine.com.
Did Taylor Swift say remove it from SoundCloud or something?
No, that was actually predates our SoundCloud account, and we haven't gone back and added old Kongversations.
I thought old T Swizzle was getting legal on us again.
No. I actually have a recording of Taylor Swift where she says it's okay to have Mr. Pants episodes of the Kongversation on SoundCloud. We have proof.
But was she talking about Mr. Pants, or was she talking about something else? You don't know, dude. You just don't know.
Yeah, she's. I like how Taylor Swift is now the villain between her and the Kardashians. So
yeah, Tadoff Switler.
Because I follow this stuff religiously.
Of course. I mean TMZ
every
day.
Yeah,
it's my homepage.
I got my copy of People magazine and In Touch, and obsessively I chronicle the lives of these celebrities whose lives do matter more than ours.
I mean, they kind of do, actually.
But actually, the celebrity whose life really does matter more than ours is Mr. Pants. Right. So,
yeah, Mr. Pants.
So go back and listen to that episode for an explanation on what It's Mr. Pants is and what it means to us. But if you don't have the time, let's quickly review.
It's a good episode. I just listened to it recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I recorded it over a year ago, so that's all.
Well,
that's all I did. Yeah. But why does the Kongversation discuss It's Mr. Pants? Obviously, we're Rare fans, and we have a natural affinity towards any Rare game. But why?
We're paid actors. We're paid shills.
Paid actors, yes. But really, why would we discuss It's Mr. Pants? Why do we consider that a Donkey Kong Universe game? Well, real quick, brief history. The character It's Mr. Pants was created by one Lee Loveday for the Rareware website back in the late 90s, and he needed well, we actually learned the reason why he was created, but basically, we'll be getting into that this episode, but he was created to be the survey taker on the Rare Wire website, and he was just a crude stick figure man in his underpants, red Y-front underpants, and a mustache and a bowler hat. But otherwise, he was kind of a pudgy, pasty British man. And
the best kind.
He was eventually, featured in cameos in Rare games.
He was in the game Cameo?
No, I don't think he was, no. But in Jet Force Gemini, he was featured in a non-canonical cheat where all the ants, the enemy ant characters in the games, took on the appearance of Mr. Pants.
If only that was canonical.
Well, if it was canonical, then It's Mr. Pants would not be a Donkey Kong Universe character.
Oh.
Because
how does that work?
Jet Force Gemini came out before Banjo-Tooie. And in Banjo-Tooie, his first true appearance occurred. Because he was on the TV that Boggy was watching in his house. He was
before putting on Bear Babes.
Yeah. Before putting on Bear Babes and masturbating in the next room where his wife and kids were.
Hey, we're not a show like that, Hyle. We would never talk like that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. We're
family vehicle.
We're a family vehicle where Boggy is driving the vehicle and he's masturbating while driving.
Yeah, we're like an SUV.
Sports utility vehicle, yeah. They provide moist nappies in sports utility vehicles, just so the dad of the family can crank one out in relative ease.
Oh, wow.
But you didn't know that.
I didn't, no.
No, yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't.
That's why Law & Order has a whole spin-off dedicated to sex crimes.
Yeah, SUV.
Yeah, Law & Order SUV, yeah.
That explains it.
I'm surprised they got more than a decade and a half out of that concept of just dads masturbating in the vehicle, but...
Yeah, didn't Ice-T just kick somebody in the shin and get fired from that?
Yeah, I believe that's happened.
Yeah.
You mean this?
Wait, maybe that was someone else.
You mean to tell me this guy gets off kicking people in the shins?
I'm a Republican.
Wait, is Ice-T a Republican?
Oh, I need to tell you about this. Whenever I think of Law and Order and Ice-T, I think of I'm a Republican, because literally that is the joke that they ended an episode on. It was him and Belzer. That's the Jewish man, correct?
No, I know who Richard Belzer is, yes.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking if I have his name right. That's his name, right?
Yes, Richard Belzer, who played Detective Munch.
Yes, Munch.
Which sounds like it could be a character in Banjo-Tooie, but...
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, he's, I guess they just solved some crime, and they're wrapping it up or whatever, and Belzer's like, yeah, I guess some people have secrets to keep. And it's Ice-T, right? Not Ice Cube. Yeah, it's Ice-T.
Ice-T, yeah.
Yeah, and he goes, yeah, I got a secret for you. I'm a Republican. Created by Dick Wolf.
Dick Wolf, another character in Banjo-Tooie.
Yeah. Or maybe Lobo.
Yeah, there you go. We need to get Dick Wolf in that game.
Yeah,
I'll have to run that by Jamie Guy. So anyway, yeah. Boggy the polar bear was watching, or is he a polar bear? I remember having some debate about this in the DK Vine forum. I argued that no, Boggy might be just a white honey bear.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Albino.
I'm extremely argumentative about.
You had a different reason for why his family was white, but
he could be an albino. Could be like Edgar Winter and Johnny Winter.
Yeah.
Just a family of albinos. Yeah. So anyway, Boggy was watching a show where Mr. Pants was just dancing back and forth in his underwear, as he's wont to do. So that's the first canonical appearance of Mr. Pants in the flesh. He was on a TV.
It's my understanding that that's sort of like what all British TV is over there. Like, you just turn it on, it's someone dancing.
Yeah, when I was actually over there, I turned on the Beeb, as they called it. And that's all it was. Their newscasters were just dancing in their underpants. Granted, they're all just chasing Mr. Pants. They're following his example. But hey, got to give the people what they want, right?
With the yakety sax playing.
So Banjo-Tooie also had a couple like Easter eggs for Mr. Pants. His constellation appeared in the Dodgem Dome. And then following that, Mr. Pants just kept appearing in the Donkey Kong universe. Obviously grabbed by the Ghoulies had Mr. Pants out the wazoo. Like his picture would be up on the wall.
Yes.
In things like the kitchen's bulletin board, there'd be a picture of Mr. Pants.
I believe in Tooie, another appearance was in Grunty Industries, in like one of the cabins, I think.
Yeah, and Grunty's Industries actually introduced the concept that Gruntilda, her factory, Grunty Industries, actually manufactured underwear. That's what they did. So,
but it wasn't red underwear.
No. So in universe, that is a chief competitor to Mr. Pants, because Mr. Pants is an underwear model who got into the underwear designing business and started his own line of underpants. It's
like Apple and Microsoft, and Grunty is Michael Fassbender, and Mr. Pants, was bought out by Microsoft.
Actually, isn't Mr. Pants the more, appropriate
more
analog to Steve Jobs?
Perhaps, how so?
Because everybody loves Steve Jobs. Granted, the guy was kind of a dick and whatnot, but, people love him. They respect him as an innovator. And, people, up until recently, I would say people had issues with Bill Gates. I think Bill Gates has redeemed himself in the public eye, obviously because he bought Rare, and he has those, his charitable work towards giving us games like Grab by the Ghoulies and It's Mr. Pants.
He used to be demonized, but now he has a halo.
Yeah, people love Bill Gates. So,
a halo.
But no, my thing is, in this analogy, I think Mr. Pants would be Steve Jobs and Gruntilda would be Bill Gates. Just
works for me.
Following in the footsteps of the trailblazer that was Mr. Pants.
Your analogy modification is okay with me.
Thank you. I'm glad you approve. So anyway, because Mr. Pants first appeared in Banjo-Tooie, we consider him, at heart, to be a Banjo-Kazooie character, therefore part of the Donkey Kong universe. Therefore, when he was given his own game, It's Mr. Pants, it was appropriately viewed as a Banjo-Kazooie spin-off, which we...
Yet Saberman is not... Saberwolf GBA is not for some reason.
That's right, because Saberwolf is a pre-existing franchise, and it crossed over with the Banjo series, but it's akin to the Mario series, where it might heavily cross over into the main branches of the Donkey Kong universe, but it doesn't have its roots in the Donkey Kong universe.
As much as I would love for Saberwolf GBA to be DKU, because I love it, but it does sort of make sense what you're saying, because I do kind of associate him more with Ultimate Play the Game. You know what I mean? Like sort of a separate era.
Well, now, especially with Rare Replay, it's kind of, embrace that again. But it's funny because at the time he was reintroduced in Banjo-Tooie, I would say from 2000 to whenever the rumors of Saberman Stampede finally ended. Granted, that game was in development, but for the longest time, we thought it was coming, and it had been canceled. But for the whole period of the early to mid aughts, more people associated Saberman with Banjo than they did the Ultimate days, because you couldn't play those games, especially in the Americas. Ultimate wasn't really a thing over here, so a lot of people got on our case that Saberwolf for the Game Boy Advance should be a Donkey Kong Universe game.
I'm probably one of those people, but now I understand.
And it's fine. At one point, and Nick, you and I have talked about this, about doing an honorable mention episode for Saberwolf GBA. So whenever we do that, we're going to have to get you on the show. Definitely. But yeah, that's a whole topic for another day. We'll discuss, I'm sure, Saberman coming up, because... all this being said, Mr. Pants is a beloved Donkey Kong Universe character. It's Mr. Pants is considered a Donkey Kong Universe game. And we had already done a Spotlight episode about it. So go back and listen to that to really get the nitty-gritty details about
Pause this, open a new tab.
Yeah.
Listen to it, and then come on back.
Waste the whole evening on It's Mr. Pants.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Over a week ago, about 2 weeks ago at this point, Rare released a new Rare Revealed video on their YouTube channel, which is kind of just a continuation of what they started with Rare Replay, those mini documentaries on each game. And they've continued doing them. Obviously, we've already done an episode kind of concerning this where we did an episode on Dream at the beginning of this season because they did a Rare Revealed on Project Dream, the game that eventually became Banjo-Kazooie, which was a great Christmas gift for us, or Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa, or whatever non-denominational solstice holiday might be. But yeah, it was great, and we were glad to see them continue. And they've continued to do Rare Reveals every so often. For some reason, they decided 2 weeks ago to do it's Mr. Pants. And I don't know why, because it's not like this is a game that's in the cultural conversation right now, nor was it ever.
No.
But
I'm glad they did, though. And I mean, in a way, it makes sense they did. It's such a rare thing to just, like, do all these rare reveals on the big games and then just, haha, it's Mr. Pants, you know?
And I'm not taking credit for this because this is not the reason, but I do know when we were over visiting them at Rare, we really did express our love for Mr. Pants. Not just like Chad and myself, but I know Steve McCorkle, maybe Amir. I don't know if Amir is really dedicated to Mr. Pants, but Steve McCorkle, he was the guy behind Pants Day last year.
Wow.
He operates Rare Fan Base, among others, and is he Rare Fan Base? He's Rare Gamer. Excuse me. There's so many Rare fan sites now. I can't keep track. He might have worked for Rare Fan Base too. Anyway,
one of those.
Yeah. There's so many Rare fan sites. Like Chad and I have mostly stayed within the lines. We've stayed true to DK Vine, but Steve, Dan, Amir, they've operated numerous Rare websites throughout the days, so it's hard to keep track. But yeah, he's definitely dedicated to the cause of Mr. Pants. So I know we were definitely pushing Mr. Pants during the whole time we were there.
So maybe they just thought like way more people like Mr. Pants than actually did.
I know. They know that we're weird outliers.
Oh, okay.
We're the hardcore nut jobs. But yeah, there is an affinity for Mr. Pants within the halls of Rare, as this video clearly showed. So we learned a lot of the history behind Mr. Pants that we didn't know before. So let's get into it. So what we learned was, first of all, about the creation of Mr. Pants himself. You know, we know things here and there, but what we learned was Lee Loveday, who of course is, you know, the famous writer of so many Donkey Kong Universe stories, instruction manuals, and of course what most people know for is the writer of the Rare website back in the day.
Sort of like the voice of Rare, or the voice
for
of
the
the
longest
DKU,
time,
at
he
least.
was the voice of Rare before all these other Rare personalities started getting out in front of the cameras and really, you know, socializing with fans. Lee Loveday was it. Like, besides Lee Loveday, you would have the people who had left Rare, like Grant Kirkhope really made a name for himself because he was a major name who left Rare and really started engaging with fans. And so Grant Kirkhope kind of became legendary, whereas before he was just a name on the credit screen.
Yeah. G. Kirkhope.
So, but for the longest time, Lee Loveday was the only voice between the fans and Rare themselves. So Lee Loveday was Rare, and in many ways...
Well, Lee Loveday and Tusk.
And Uncle Tusk, right, and Mr. Pants.
Oh, yeah.
So, but Lee Loveday, when he was basically the only guy in charge of Rareware, which is what we called the Rare website back then, because it was called Rareware, W-H-E-R-E.
Yeah, you got to differentiate it somehow.
Right, and then it became Welcome to Rare, which was a dark day for all of us.
That's not a cool name at all.
No. Well, Lee's still doing articles on the Rare website. Check it out. Yeah, he's actually got a byline now, so we didn't just suss out that it was Lee Loveday doing it. It's actually like out in the open now, written by Lee Loveday.
Right.
So when he was trying to create a mascot for the Rare website, he sent out a call to Rare's artists for help in creating something, and
apparently none of them answered.
Yeah, nobody wanted to do it. So I guess it sounds like just to stick it to everybody.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. He created a stick figure man, like intentionally shit stick figure man, and it was like, all right,
oh, it's glorious.
I asked for help, and this is what we got. So, the thing is, unintentionally, everybody fell in love with the character. So overnight, Mr. Pants became
it's kind of like Kirby. I don't know if you knew this, but Kirby originally, I guess, was a placeholder for when they eventually came up with something better. But then they just kind of fell in love with him.
So Kirby is quite comparable with Mr. Pants. I guess you need to edit Kirby's Wikipedia page.
Oh, yes, we do.
So, because everybody at Rare and the Rare fans who were reading Rare's website all fell in love with him, kind of created this echo chamber, this mutually self-assured pants admiration society, where
a pants vacuum.
Yeah. So he started appearing in rare games. Of course, the first, as we mentioned, Jet Force Gemini, and the Ants as Pants code, and then of course he appeared in Banjo-Tooie as a,
which is the first time sorry to interrupt you, but the first time I saw Mr. Pants was in Jet Force Gemini.
Yeah,
and I was not reading where at the day, so I literally had no idea what was going on. I was like, what the hell?
Which I'm sure was part of the humor with him doing it, yeah.
But despite no context, I also instantly fell in love with them and was like, this is hilarious. And then later when I learned, it all clicked.
Yeah. So I remember, I remember being, on Rare's website every day, and it would it would be an event when Lee Loveday would update. But I remember for the longest time, the appeal of Mr. Pants didn't really dawn on me. And it wasn't until Banjo-Tooie that I really, everything just clicked. And
you had to see him moving in world.
It was him dancing on Boggy's screen that really just sealed the deal for me. And I remember laughing, the absurdity of it just dawned on me. And not only that, but why would Boggy be watching this? Why is this considered quality entertainment in the shared Rare universe?
Plus, it's just so cool during the N64 era. What other developers were putting in Easter eggs just for the fans of their newsletter? That's
essentially that's what it was. Yeah. So that's kind of the genesis of Mr. Pants. Nobody would create a better website mascot for Lee, so he said, "Fuck you."
And I doubt anyone could if they tried.
No, and that's a brilliant thing, because it very much summed up Rare's sense of humor. And granted, a lot of Rare's sense of humor in that day was Lee Loveday's sense of humor, because it was being funneled through Lee on the website. But I think it's apparent that everybody on the Greg Mayles team, Greg Mayles, Chris Sutherland, they all shared the sense of humor that Lee did, or at least it's just quirky British humor.
It's the Rare ethos or whatever was sort of like a mixture of absolute pushing the boundaries quality mixed with utter shit, but purposeful utter shit.
Utter shit, yeah.
For like DKC, how the bosses are, some might say that they're lazy, but some might say they're purposely shit. And I believe doesn't Cranky even comment that one is a familiar boss you've seen before?
I think that's in the Game Boy Advance remake.
Okay.
So they had some historical perspective by that point.
Yeah. But pointing out utter shit is Rare's thing.
Or maybe that was the Donkey Kong 64 instruction manual. Either way, there were some years where they would comment on it.
Yeah.
From breaking.
And that's so in line with Mr. Pants. Just. Yeah, it's shit. What of it?
Well, it's also what I like about Mr. Pants and the whole Rare sense of humor. It's over the top, but it's also very dry. It's not beating you over the head like some of the Nintendo humor does, where funny, this is funny, you should be laughing. It's just presented matter of factly.
Mamma mia, I stepped in a pizza pie.
Yeah, that infamous Mario moment where he slips on the pizza pie.
Oh, I rolled my eyes at that.
And he slips and he falls face first into the pizza, and he's rolling around with tomato sauce all over him. And he's like, "Why won't someone help me? Oh no!"
Yeah, not his.
And then he pisses his pants and he shits himself.
I think that was a fan fiction you read on Amazon.
Oh yeah, Mario shit shine. Yeah. It was still quality work, though.
That's one of Juilliard's best.
Yeah, we're not doing honorable mentions on Mario Shitshine one day. But it's my favorite movie. I've made this abundantly clear on the Kongversation. Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, because I hate women. And
that's funny. My favorite movie is the new one.
Really?
Favorite movie ever, bar none.
Oh well. This is going to get awkward very quickly.
Oh, why's that?
Because I never mind.
Why? Because you're a male chauvinist pig?
Yeah. Well, Hogwash is my favorite Donkey Kong enemy, and he is a male, and he's a pig. So
a kid, of course, but yeah. So what about Ghostbusters?
No, Ghostbusters is just it's not British humor, but it's the most American version of British humor I think I've ever encountered, because it is so dry. It's ridiculous on the surface, and if you're describing the movie to somebody, it would seem farcical. But you actually watch it, and it's just so matter of fact. and it works because of that. It's not just
Yeah, for
whoa,
something
ghost, whoa, wackiness, oh, it's vomiting on me, whoa.
Yeah, it's no Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but for something with so much slime, it sure is dry.
Right, exactly. So I like Ghostbusters and I like Rare, and I just wanted to make that abundantly clear. And I like Mr. Pants. So
I'm glad that's all been.
So there's this just embracing of Mr. Pants, and it all.
Wait. Let me throw my hat in the ring there.
Sure.
Have you seen Withnail and I?
Have I seen what?
Withnail and I.
No, I haven't.
It's spelled like with nail and I. That's a British movie that I feel also is very rare. You should check it out, and I recommend it.
Okay,
that's all.
It's very rare, or it's very hard to come across.
Well, if it was hard to come across, I'd have almost no reason to bring it up just there. So it's rare like.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, all this to say, eventually, Mr. Pants had enough momentum within Rare. Maybe not within the fan base, which by 2004 had kind of. The Rare fan base had kind of splintered. Well, I mean, it was still going strong. It hadn't like hit the point it had around the era of Nuts and Bolts, where you really got what it became just prior to Rare Replay's reveal and the new Rare logo, where the Rare Renaissance kind of enlivened the Rare fan base, but there was this slow atrophy throughout the buyout era. So maybe people weren't on Rare's website all day waiting for appearances of Mr. Pants, but there was still enough momentum for the character among the diehard believers and in Rare that he got its own game. So somehow. So the history of It's Mr. Pants as revealed in the new Rare Revealed video. So we'd known, obviously they were doing a puzzle game before it became It's Mr. Pants, which we knew about because of Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers. But before it was Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers,
it was Tip Top's Tabletop Tip-Over,
which I would have loved just as much. But that's actually not a true statement, Nick, and you're a filthy liar. You're a liar. Lion Nick.
That's my new catchphrase name on the forum.
Your father assassinated JFK, and now you're Lion Nick. So yeah, I mean, we obviously knew it had started life as Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers, but we didn't really know more about the genesis, the initial kernel of the idea for what became It's Mr. Pants. So with the Rare Revealed video, we finally got, I guess, answers. And almost like a jury would get answers for a crime committed. But this is a delightful crime. It's I don't know. It's like if O.J. Simpson stabbed Hitler. Nobody would really have a problem with it, right?
Delightful.
It's yeah.
That should have been on the front of the box. They would have sold more copies. Like
if O.J. Simpson, it's like if O.J. Simpson stabbed Hitler.
A delightful
IGN.
Crime. TK Vine.
But anyway, yeah. If the pants do fit, you must acquit.
Yeah.
No. Oh, O.J. Simpson. So anyway, turns out that the history of Mr. Pants, or It's Mr. Pants, is thus. Tim Stamper and Greg Mayles were talking about doing a puzzler like this for some time. And I think it's interesting that the idea started with those two, because I don't really associate It's Mr. Pants with Greg Mayles. And but it seems like the idea for the mechanics behind it were definitely him and Tim Stamper. So, yeah.
I mean, Greg Mayles obviously loves puzzles.
Does he?
I mean, Banjo-Kazooie and all that.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I associate Greg Mayles more as, a platform, action-y kind of guy. But, there are jigsaw puzzles in Banjo-Kazooie. I guess you're right. And Tooie. But what happened was Paul Makachek got his hands on the project in 1999 during the beginning of Banjo-Tooie's development. He was personally asked by Tim Stamper if he could implement the rules that they came up with for a puzzler on a portable system. I guess at the time that would have been the Game Boy Color, but I don't know if it was actually in development for Game Boy Color.
Can you imagine It's Mr. Pants on Game Boy Color?
Well, I mean, I really can't, because I don't think there was any chance it would have been It's Mr. Pants had it been released that early.
No.
But at the time, the game was known simply as Tartan, and it was named after the crisscross pattern that you find on Scottish kilts.
So maybe the warp stone was going to be in it.
Well, he's Saurian with what sounds like a Scottish brogue, but that's
Good
like
point.
saying all the Imperials in Star Wars are British when they're from, like, Corellia or whatever.
Good point.
Yeah, I know. I make good points. I read Wikipedia. So, it was known as Tartan for a while, but after one of their musicians, and we don't really know who this was, so I'm just going to assume it was Paul McCartney.
Sure.
After Paul McCartney, who was moonlighting at Rare, put a piece from the Nutcracker behind it.
He was at Rare as a temporary secretary.
That's right, yeah. The regular was getting sick. So, God damn it, Nick, now I have that fucking song in my head. Which, by the way, I don't know how Temporary Secretary has become as successful as it has over the recent years. It seems like everybody knows that song now.
I think Mega 64 had something to do with it.
I also think it's just like the club scene, which I am clearly not a part of. I adopted it. No, I do not go clubbing at night.
Bro, you gotta get clubbing, y'all.
So it became known as Nutcracker after a mystery musician put a piece from Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker behind it. And
so is there a correlation between Nutcracker and Coconut Crackers?
I assume that's how they got the name Coconut Crackers, but I don't think the whole Nutcracker thing would have really played out because you kind of want to downplay any connections to Russia if you're doing something that's vaguely based on Tetris.
That's probably why he put it in there as a joke.
Yeah. And
but maybe Nabnut was in it.
What's that?
Maybe Nabnut was in it.
Oh, yeah, crackers. Yeah, Nutcrackers. Yeah, maybe Nabnut and Nibblenut. Those two legendary Rare characters.
They were going to get their own like Conquer spinoff.
I do miss the days when it seemed like any Rare character could get their own game. I think that kind of climaxed with It's Mr. Pants.
Oh, it climaxed, all right.
This isn't Banjo-Tooie.
Wrong episode.
Calm the fuck down. So, they knew at some point, probably very early on, that they couldn't just market the game as it was, like Tartan or Nutcracker.
Without getting sued by that Russian guy.
Or by the makers of Scottish kilts.
Or Tchaikovsky's grandson.
Yeah, they knew that in that day and age, late 90s, early 2000s, you would kind of have to have some sort of hook, a license to get people interested in it.
Yeah.
And that was what caused Nutcracker to evolve into the isometric take on it that we know as Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers. And they actually showed off the game at that infamous, I say infamous in a loving way, because it's only infamous because of what happened after the buyout, but that E3 that was so magical, where we got just a whole dump of Donkey Kong Universe games in one magical event. You know, we got obviously Donkey Kong Racing is what most people remember it for, but we also get Diddy Kong Pilot, Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge, and Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers.
Such an interesting bunch of games.
Looking back. Only Grunty's Revenge came in the form intended, that E3.
Yeah.
But they showed it off. They were confident that's what the game was going to be. And then the buyout happened, and they couldn't just make new Donkey Kong games. They went on to make 3 Donkey Kong Country remakes on the Game Boy Advance and Diddy Kong Racing DS for the Nintendo DS.
The superior version of Diddy Kong Racing.
As everybody calls it, yes.
Yeah.
Whenever you mention Diddy Kong Racing, most people assume you're talking about the DS version because it kind of laid waste to the N64 version. You know,
I wear my
dustbins of history.
My Teenage Tiny Kong shirt out, and people are like, "Oh, that's from Diddy Kong Racing, the original."
Yeah, whenever I wear my Teenage Tiny Kong shirt out, they usually just call the police.
Yeah, or deny you like at nightclubs.
Right. Actually, that could probably get you in like the skeevier nightclubs.
Maybe.
So yeah, for the longest time, it was known as Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers. Even after the buyout, we had assumed that this game was coming, and we knew, at the time, I think Diddy Kong Pilot was the first game to get rebranded as Banjo Pilot. And I don't recall when the rumors that it was going to be it's Mr. Pants started up, but there's a lot of speculation about what that was going to come back as. And, you know, for a brief time, I think there's the assumption that they're all just going to come back as Banjo games. Because that was...
What was the reaction on DK Vine like when it was revealed to be Mr. Pants?
Oh, we all loved it. I mean, we thought... at the time, we weren't really making a connection that it was going to be a Donkey Kong Universe game. That kind of dawned on us, I think, at the eventual release when somebody pointed out, well, he was dancing on a TV in Banjo-Tooie. And we were like, oh, fuck. Because at the time, we were just like, well, let's see if, you know, Royston pops up in Mr. Pants or some other character. But ultimately, Mr. Pants himself was the salvation for making a Donkey Kong Universe. But yeah, we all thought it was just great because we all loved Mr. Pants by that point. That was just, you know, a quintessential calling card for Rare fans.
Of course.
But what we didn't know was for a brief time after it was clear they couldn't use the Donkey Kong license, they did attach the Banjo IP to it, and it was known as Banjo's Jiggy Juggle.
Yeah, this I did not know.
Nobody knew this. And, you know, they at least had an animation of Banjo juggling jiggies. But I don't know.
I did not know that.
I don't know how far they actually got, if they started, you know, redoing the isometric take of Coconut Crackers and, like, putting in Banjo graphics and scenery. And they didn't show off any footage of it in the Rare reveal video, so I'm going to guess this was just a brief pit stop for the idea, and it never really got too far. Because they also said they tried out a Saberman version for it, which is pretty interesting in and of itself, because Donkey Kong Racing obviously became Saberman Stampede. So for a little window of time, Banjo and Saberman had divided up all of the Kong family's canceled Rare games.
Yeah. I mean, Jiggy Juggle sounds like a collaboration between Will Smith and the Insane Clown Posse to me.
Jiggy Juggalos, yeah. That you know what? If Will Smith wants to revive his career, he was already in Suicide Squad, which I imagine appeals to quite a few juggalos.
Oh, yeah. There's a juggalo in the movie.
Will Smith should just go all in and become a juggalo. Could you imagine if Will Smith joined the ICP?
A whoop, whoop, indeed.
You know what? Maybe not Will Smith, but definitely Jaden. If Jaden wants people to start taking him more seriously, it could only be a step up to become an insane clown.
Come on, every kid has an ICP phase. I mean, just do it, Jaden. Just do it.
I never had an ICP phase, but my friend Elliot, who, you know, the friend I had, Proto Chad, he went through an ICP phase. He was a juggalo.
Was it like 2 days or 3 days?
No, it was at least a summer he listened to ICP. He never went through the whole routine of wearing clown makeup, but he was definitely wearing like juggalo pants.
He wasn't a hatchet man. He was more like a hatchet kid.
Yeah. That might have been like around the time I had started DK Vine, though. So we were already
you want to distance yourself.
Yeah, we were already on different paths in life. He decided to become a juggalo, and I decided to ruin my life by starting DK Vine.
You could look at it like that, or you could look at it as you were making legitimate comedy while drinking wine, and he was out capping fools while drinking Faygo.
You know a lot about the juggalo lifestyle, Nick.
No, I don't.
You couldn't pass yourself off as a club kid, but are you a juggalo?
Well, I'm going to the gathering, bro.
When is the gathering of the juggalos? I haven't received my invitation.
It's whenever you want it to be.
Is that true? Are there just spontaneous gatherings of juggalos?
I think it has a date.
Because that would be, I think, a national security issue if juggalos could spontaneously gather wherever they deemed appropriate.
That would be a miracle.
Eventually, we'll have to get Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope on the show.
Oh, jeez, you know a lot about ICP.
Well, I mean, I know that. I mean, they're legends in the music industry.
Oh, good point, yeah.
So we'll have to get them on the show to have them share their thoughts about Rare or Playtonic, because I could see them being really into Yuka.
Yo, man, ukulele, man, I love that shit, bro.
Aren't they like in their 50s now?
Yeah, I got kids and a family, but I still do backyard wrestling, motherfucker.
Oh yeah, Juggalo shit champion or Juggalo championship wrestling.
Champion shit, y'all.
It's funny because they replaced championship with champion shit, and it's edgy that way.
It's like bat ship crazy. They do like you.
They do like ukulele. Oh my God, we made the connection. All right, if you're listening, and I know you are, Shaggy, Too Dope, and Violent J, please call in DK Vine Hotline 1-281-410-KONG. Clarify how much you love ukulele.
Yeah, maybe we can get some like the Dark Carnival crossover with DKU.
We'll hook them up. We'll hook them up with Andy Robinson, and we'll get them to voice characters in ukulele.
Ooh, yeah, they'll be like the new JonTron, except with talent.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I kid.
You kid. We kid. Yeah, we love the Tron of Johns here.
His newest videos actually have been his best yet. I laugh heartily. I just that one video.
That one video, yeah.
Anyway,
that one. All right, so. Yeah, it was almost a Saberman game, dude. They were really pushing like Saberman hard, or trying to push him hard during this time period.
I know.
He never really took off
it.
as a brilliant new IP or revived IP, and it's only
He's
until
still sort of the rare mascot in my mind, along with Mr. Pants.
I don't know. I think Rare has kind of settled on their mascot being just like a shared role between Banjo-Tooie, Conker, and Rash from Battletoads.
Oh yeah, in the public eye, but like in my mind, Saberman and Pants.
Yeah, same here.
Just because when I was a kid, those were the two things that connected everything. I didn't consider Royston until I came upon DK.
Yeah, for me, it would be Saberman, Mr. Pants, Royston, and honestly, I gotta say Diddy Kong still. Diddy Kong still means Rare to me.
And Gloop.
Of course. And Snorkel the Dolphin. I know you're listening, Snorkel. Hey guys, Snorkel the Dolphin here. Andy Robinson. So,
good times.
Yeah. Interesting that it was almost Banjo and Saberman themed after it lost the Donkey Kong license. But luckily, we were spared that horrible fate when Ryan Stevenson, famed Rare artist, saw the project that Paul Makachek had been working on for quite a few years at this point to literally no avail. The rug kept getting pulled out from underneath him. And basically, he went home one night and came up with the whole Mr. Pants art style and the whole concept of It's Mr. Pants when at home, I guess. I don't know if he was the one who decided to apply the IP to the project. They weren't really that clear on the video who is to blame. But
regardless, thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. Ryan at least came up with the whole art style of, okay, if Mr. Pants was the star of this game, here's how we can make the game look. And just this whole, like, nauseating, scribbled, like, developmentally challenged 2-year-old did these scribbles. And granted, the art has a lot more... It's people, like, say the art of It's Mr. Pants is intentionally shit. It's actually... quite skilled. Like, there's talent behind it. Yeah, I mean, it's not just... It would look intentionally shit if I did it, but there's craftsmanship behind it. It's
using a shit aesthetic, but like within that limitation, it does awesome things.
Yes, exactly. And I think we touched upon that in our Spotlight episode. So, he came in the next day and pitched it to them, and he instantly got assigned to the team. And, so Ryan Stevenson... That's how he joined the crew. So Paul Makachek, Ryan Stevenson, Paul Ryan, as I call the duo, they at that point, they said, and I quote, the whole ethos was to make the game as stupid, silly, and absurd as they possibly could.
It's a good mission statement.
Yeah, so since everyone in the design teams at Rare were busy with other projects, because this was the early buyout era, so this was probably the time when Rare was at their most ambitious, and yet also just stretched completely thin, because they had all of their GameCube to Xbox projects. So all the games they started development for on the GameCube, and then had to port over to the Xbox, and then the 360 for those projects that didn't get quite finished. Cameo is, I think, the most infamous one where
it's their most ambitious but sort of underrated period.
Yeah. They also had all their ideas that were Xbox, I guess, exclusive ideas they didn't get till after the buyout. Yeah. And then they also had their Game Boy Advance games, and that whole portable team that not only did the 4 games they released via THQ, but also the games they made for Nintendo.
Priceless.
The Donkey Kong Country remakes, all those. So this was like the busiest time at Rare. And, granted, a lot of these projects stalled, got canceled, but they had so much in the oven at this point. So the design team was, like, too busy. So basically, they couldn't get anybody to come up with puzzle ideas. Like, they had the infrastructure in place of how the puzzles would work, but they needed puzzles. Like, here's a puzzle. Here's a picture of a house or a sailboat that you need to clear. Here is a picture of Birdie the Scarecrow from Conker. Here's Banjo. And I love the implication there that Mr. Pants has met Birdie. He has met Banjo. Like, Mr. Pants has explored the Rare Archipelago and has met these characters and decided to immortalize them in his game show puzzler called It's Mr. Pants. But eventually Justin Cook got the gig of coming up with most of the puzzles for the game. So that's how he came on board. And I should point out that Paul Makachek, Ryan Stevenson, Justin Cook, and Robin Beeland are all talking heads on this video.
Yeah, it's awesome.
As well as
check it out if you
John
haven't.
Silk. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. It might be Silky, but it looks like
Old
John
Silkworm.
Yeah. So, this is just an immensely enjoyable video because all the talking heads on it realize how fucking absurd
some
this
of them
is.
can't even make it through what they're trying to say.
No. My only regret is the man of international mystery, Lee Loveday, declined to appear on it.
Yeah. Sticks to the shadows.
Yeah. He's like, he does not want the public at large to know what he looks like. Sorry, Lee, I know what you look like. Granted, I've had dinner with you, so I know what you look like, but
you were paid to act for him, so
that's true. Yeah. So my silence has been paid off. I'm not going to describe what he looks like. He actually looks just like Mr. Pants. It's shocking.
Wow.
He wears the bowler hat and everything, and the lack of clothing.
That must have been weird at dinner.
He has nothing to be ashamed of.
Good point.
He's a regular Michael Fassbender. So, at this point, and this was really interesting because Robin Beeland came on board and talked about how the music of It's Mr. Pants was devised. And besides the art style, besides how fun the game is to play, and besides the lore of Mr. Pants' world...
Besides all that, it's all about the music.
Well, yeah, I think the music is one of the most memorable parts of it. I mean, the whole game is memorable. It's one of Rare's undeniable masterpieces.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game, but as someone who sucks at puzzle games, even though I love them, and who gets frustrated easily by them, I can listen to this music by itself.
Well, the thing is, Nick, I suck at puzzle games. I'm terrible at Tetris. I'm terrible at all of them. Mr. Pants is a game that challenged me, but also enticed me enough that I wanted to finish it. And It's Mr. Pants was the first puzzle game I have completed 100%. Not only on the Game Boy Advance version, but on the Infusio mobile version as well.
Now that is something to be proud of.
That's dedication. People rag on me for not finishing Donkey Kong 2 yet, but I did muddle mode, motherfuckers.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm not a terrible gamer. Donkey Kong 2 is just a fucking train wreck of a game. Donkey Kong 2. Anyway, so Robin Beeland, the old bean, the crusty old bean.
Beaner. I mean,
yeah. He came on and he was initially asked to just provide a bunch of animal noises for when you cleared puzzles.
Yeah, those are funny.
Yeah, and this is something I kind of forgot about, and or remember you never even paid much attention to. But yeah, whenever you clear a puzzle in It's Mr. Pants, you've got something like a chicken clucking or a rooster or just a cow mooing, and it's just bizarre because why? but it's just the whole like Dada sensibility for the game. I mean, it works.
It's perfect.
Robin then, fortunately, did all the music for the game. And if you want to know the talent of Mr. Robin Beeland, I think you've got the holy trinity of the Beatles. The Beatles of Rare and Rare properties have always been David Wise, Grant Kirkhope, and Robin Beeland. And Robin
David
Beeland's,
Clinic.
And what?
And David Clinic.
Yes. But
I think that's his name.
Yeah. But I mean, those three though are always because really, I mean, let's be honest. David Wise is associated with Donkey Kong. Grant Kirkhope is associated with Banjo. Robin Beeland is associated with Conker, and so they're thought of in that order too, because that's kind of the order we got.
It's kind of awesome how it all worked out that way.
But I think because of that, and because Dave Wise and Grant Kirkhope had both left Rare, and Robin was kind of silent because it was still that like nobody at Rare talks about Rare kind of era. Robin Beeland's always kind of thought of as, unfortunately, like the also ran when Robin Beeland's got so much talent, and I'm never
He's
gonna
the George Harrison. Like at first glance, like when people don't talk about him as much, you might think, he's not all that.
See, I would disagree with that analogy. I love George Harrison. I'm a big Beatles guy, but I would disagree with that because George Harrison also just got creatively burned out when he no longer had John and Paul around to compete with and kind of inspire him. Like he had that amazing post-breakup period that I think culminated with Living in a Material World. But and I like the Dark Horse album. That's like it's shit upon a lot, but I really like a lot of the songs on Dark Horse. But really, after Dark Horse, it was very hit or miss. I mean, the Traveling Wilburys were great, but he had, Dylan and Tom Petty and Roy Orbison and Jeff Lynne even to play.
I guess I meant during the Beatles period, he's like George Harrison.
Yeah. But
he's not one of the main two, but he's still equally awesome. I mean,
it's really hard to find proper analogies for all the Rare musicians with the Beatles.
Just probably not even worth our time.
No. But I would compare Robin with Paul McCartney because initially, like you just think of Paul McCartney as being able to do one kind of song, but then the more you get into what he can do, you realize he's actually a jack of all trades, and he
can also sneak Tchaikovsky themes into puzzle games.
That's right. But I mean, Robin. I mean, I'm not trying to like just talk him up to flatter the man's ego, but he is, immensely talented. You look at his work on It's Mr. Pants and his work on Conquer, his work on like Jet Force, his work on Sea of Thieves, and
despite him not being involved with ukulele, he is a chameleon of sorts.
Yeah, there you go. Like Dave Wise and Grant Kirkhope are just amazing talents, and I'm not dismissing them at all, but they also have.
It's not really. Yeah. Why compare?
They have very identifiable sounds. You know what David Wise sounds like, and that's why like David Wise is the man to do Donkey Kong. Grant Kirkhope is the man to do a banjo or yucca style game. Robin Beeland, I think, could do anything really.
Yeah.
And granted, Grant's doing scores for movies now. He's doing Pierce Brosnan movies. He did GoldenEye, and now he's doing a Pierce Brosnan movie.
Wow. Comes full circle.
Yeah, so but as far as video games go, I think Dave and Grant have very recognizable types of sound. Robin Beeland doesn't, and that's why he's kind of harder to peg down. But I'm glad he was there to do the soundtrack for It's Mr. Pants, because I don't know if anybody could pull off that sense of whimsy.
No way.
And the art style of Mr. Pants reminded Robin of a 1970s kids cartoon called Rhubarb and Custard, and I actually had to look this up, but he said that that had a pretty oddball theme that then inspired him for the It's Mr. Pants theme. So what I would like to do right now is play the Rhubarb and Custard theme. So here it is. All right. So yeah, it kind of sounds like the It's Mr. Pants theme a little bit.
A little bit.
I mean, you definitely get the inspiration there, but
yeah.
So, and it should be pointed out that Paul Makachek has said that the music really from It's Mr. Pants that Robin came up with, especially the main theme, captures, and I quote, the silliness and the slight perviness of Mr. Pants.
Spot on.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just like the weirdest fucking, like the theme tune gets stuck in your head and it will stay there for the rest of your life. But Robin was also inspired by a band called the Cardiacs. And he said, they're a pretty oddball band, and because of that, they also kind of inspired him. I had never heard of the Cardiacs.
Okay.
I might have heard of them, but I've never actually sought them out. It's just
it's just Cardiacs. They do say the Cardiacs in the video, but they can be forgiven.
So no definite article.
Yeah, no, like Pixies.
Just Cardiacs. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, I know you're a fan of Cardiacs. So, since you're the expert, this is one reason I wanted you on this episode.
Cool.
If you're the expert, explain to me about the Cardiacs.
All right, I will. Well, seeing them mentioned in this video pleased me to no end, because Cardiacs are what you call a cult band, sort of.
Right. They believe there's a UFO behind the Hale-Bopp comet.
Exactly. I can actually make a connection with that, because their Cardiacs t-shirt appears on X-Files.
Oh.
Boom.
Who's wearing it? Like Langley?
One of the lone gunmen.
Yeah, it would be Langley then.
Yep. But, so they were unappreciated and misunderstood at their time. I know NME, the National Music something, the British magazine, would rip them a new one at the time, but now article after article are coming out praising them as one of the greatest bands of all time.
That's funny how that works with music. Like,
yeah,
that's why I do like the music industry, because it can be very dismissive at first. Like, it can be just as needlessly cruel as game reviewers are, as whatever. But music,
it's all about scenes, really. If it didn't fit into the scene, time, then,
but more than any other industry, the music industry is willing to admit, especially music journalism, is willing to admit when it's wrong, and they'll go back and reassess something
which is cool.
Yeah, and I love that, and I wish the games industry, or especially games journalism, would be willing to be that big. I look back at something like Grab by the Ghoulies, obviously, and I'm like, there's no reason for you to slag off on this game.
No,
so go back, review it, and even when Rare Replay came out, a lot of people were just dismissive of Ghoulies, having not even bothered to replay it in the package. So, I do like that about the music industry.
Yeah. So I'm utterly honored to be the DK Vine voice voicing Cardiacs here, because they are sort of my Beatles in a way to you. Well, that's not correct. I guess XTC would be my Beatles, or Zappa, but Cardiacs are probably my favorite band.
They're your Klaatu.
Yes, exactly. No, they're my Cardiacs, I think. Because no one's quite like them. If you're familiar with some of the more off-the-wall progressive music, such as Frank Zappa or Gentle Giant, with the complexity of those guys.
I love Gentle Giant.
Yeah, me too, man. If you combine Frank Zappa, Gentle Giant, with more of the raw energy of punk, I know at the time Cardiacs were called Pronk, which I don't think anybody liked or really stuck with, but it's like progressive punk, and that does it a disservice to describe it as that, because the music that Tim Smith, leader of the Cardiacs, created...
You did it too.
Hell, I think you can call them the Cardiacs, actually. Is just some of the most majestic music ever recorded. Sadly, a couple years back, he had a heart attack and a stroke, I think.
That's ironic.
Yeah, it is ironic, at a My Bloody Valentine concert, and he is paralyzed now. Or going through some medical stuff. And
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear My Bloody Valentine still has concerts.
Oh, good lord. Dude, My Bloody Valentine are amazing.
I'm just being dismissive.
Yeah, don't confuse them with Bullet for My Valentine.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was doing that.
Yeah, in which case, that would be very sad. But But I bring up his tragic incident because it's really amazing how Cardiac sort of spawned this whole family, the Cardiacs family, and everyone is still coming together, throwing these Cardiacs tribute shows, and all these other weird bands getting together and pretty much raising money for him for his medical bills. And, like, if you're interested in Cardiacs, I do recommend going to their website and buying music and stuff because it all goes to help him. And, in the later days of Cardiacs, a guy named Kavas Tarabi, who is a Tehran-born musician, who's sort of like a progressive hero of mine. He's really awesome. He has an offshoot band called Knife World you should check out, and I'm even actually collaborating with him on a song right now, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I just wanted to shout from the mountaintops that Cardiacs are something extremely special. They're really abrasive, obviously, but give them a chance. Their melodies will get stuck in your head. Some of it's just as beautiful as any classical hymn. Tim Smith is a genius. So you laugh.
No. I just love that you compare it to a hymn. You know, like
it's hymn-like. Some of the stuff is rousing, spiritually fulfilling melodies. These things.
I mean, who am I to talk? I'm the guy who threw the Bible in the trash can.
Yeah,
good point. For the laughs.
But I mean, hymns are beautiful, man. I mean, despite their subject matter. But yeah, Cardiacs are amazing. That's the end of my rant. But yeah, so the fact, and when I remember hearing It's Mr. Pants music and thinking, oh, this has Tim Smith of the Cardiacs written all over it.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I will also mention just a little thing. Their first album was called A Little Man and a House and the Whole World Window, and on the front cover is a stick figure, poorly drawn and shittily drawn, next to a little stick house. And their whole aesthetic is also sort of embracing absurdity in utter shit. So it makes total sense, really. Now,
I know your work is partially inspired by
utter shit? Yes, it is.
What a lot of people might not realize about Nick is, yes, he is the cartoonist of DKU Comics, but he is also, if Matt Corna can be considered the head of music of DK Vine, Nick is also our backup musician. You're also quite a talented musician in your own right.
Thank you.
And so he's, do you have any of your stuff that is similar to the Cardiacs? Because here's the thing, we can't really play their music on this show.
No,
but
I wish we could, man.
If we could play kind of an offshoot inspired by, I can't believe it's not Butter version of Cardiacs, which, by the way, I can't believe it's not Butter will also prevent any cardiac episodes later in life.
Yes,
so
that's good.
Make the switch. Yeah, if you have anything you would like us to play right now would be a good time.
I'd be honored. Thanks for the time. Yeah, I mean, nothing I've yet to do a straight-up Cardiacs pastiche, but their style has seeped into everything that I've been working on over the past couple of years. So I'll pick something random that I think is Cardiacs-y, and we'll play it now, I guess.
Okay.
Unseen by any research team. Wonders of the world, legends of the age. There once was 7, but she is the 8th. Climb every ocean, swim every mountain, just to guarantee you're next to me. She talks on it like Jack's beanstalk is something magical. Her piercing eyes are like blackbird eyes are a sight to behold. Words of the world, rare and ornate. There once was 7, but she is the 8th. Dodge every stairway, ascend every obstacle, just to guarantee you're next to me.
good lord, that was absolute trash.
Remember, Nick, it was intentionally shit.
Oh, yes. Gotta embrace the aesthetic. But, yeah, it was really cool to hear that Robin Beanland was inspired by that. I remember reading that on the forum, and A, being blown away that cardiacs were mentioned on DK Vine, and B, blown away that there was a connection. Because it is kind of like, I don't know, like, is there any Beatles references in Rare stuff?
Yeah, I mean, in Conquer's Bad Fur Day, you have the Dung Beetles who have the Liverpudlian accents. That's about...
That's the closest.
I think that's about it, because obviously, like, I would be the expert on this. And
yes, that's what I'm saying. Finding that out, or also finding out that Dweezil Zappa was on the Conquer Reloaded soundtrack.
Yeah.
These sort of things are like the colliding of worlds for your brain. It's like, what? No, this doesn't make sense. But yeah, it's very cool. And It's Mr. Pants soundtrack is great.
I think it's like David Tennant doing voices, or doing the narration for Connect Sports Rivals. That's the closest like Matt has to a Doctor Who
Doctor
connection.
Who fans, yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that's it's really cool to hear like Robin like, you know, admit his inspirations. Yeah, like we rag on like things like Dave Wise, like clearly like taking classic rock songs as the inspirational base for Donkey Kong.
Well,
Country
hey, if he was
Tracks.
interviewed, he might admit it.
No, I'm sure he would. Like Dave Wise is a man of mystery. Now he's like Lita Loveday as far as the rare composers go. Just that he doesn't really do many interviews.
He's in the shadows holding a saxophone.
Yeah. Ranting about Brexit. But at this point, they brought on John Silk, and John, if I'm butchering your last name, I apologize. It might be Silky, it might be Silke. I don't know, but I'm just going to pronounce it as Silk because
Silky smooth.
it is a delicious alternative to dairy milk.
Oh, yes.
So, John Silk did the voice of Mr. Pants, and for the longest time, I think this was a mystery among the fan base. We had initially believed that the guy who did Shabunga in Star Fox Adventures was the same guy who did Mr. Pants, because
It sure sounds like it.
Yeah, they're quite similar, but I think that's more just American ears hearing similarities.
Do we know who did Shabunga?
I think
because it could have been Silk.
I think it was confirmed to us that it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forget who did Shabunga. So if anybody's listening to this, you know who did Shabunga, please let us know.
Spill the beans on Shabunga.
Yeah, I think that was answered quite a while ago, but I've already forgotten because I'm a terrible human being. But he joined Rare, and he was begging for jobs in audio. He got along with all the guys in audio, and so according to him, they just gave him the voice of Mr. Pants because they had to give him something just to shut him up. But according to Robin, he was quite good at doing daft voices. So that's how the famous voice of It's Mr. Pants was found.
And what a voice, because, I mean, here's hoping you like the voice, because you're going to hear a lot of it.
Well, it's such a, like, positive voice, though. Like, yeah, it is daft, it is silly, it is obnoxiously weird, but I love how relentlessly upbeat Mr. Pants is.
Yeah, I mean, not to jump back, but, I mean, it sounds just like the lead singer of the Cardiacs. I mean, it does. I mean, it sounds like he narrated the game, and whatever you just said, abrasive, weird, and silly, spot on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it all fits so well.
Chad can do a much better Mr. Pants than I can. But, just the fact that, Mr. Pants will say shit like, I love you! It gives me the warm fuzzies.
As it should.
And really, and in the context of the in-universe Mr. Pants, the fact that this is the most universally beloved celebrity, at least among the Rare archipelago and in, like, the UK, like, so much so that they gave him his own county called Pantsland.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's, it's just I love that when absurdity creeps into the fictional universe, and it just makes it a happier existence than our own.
Absolutely.
So that's how the famous voice Mr. Pants, and Robin also he also performed a bit of the Mr. Pants theme Yeah.
Love it.
Just the fact that Mr. Pants sings over his own theme it's just I could go on and on and on and have nothing really appropriate to say, but then moving on from the music and the sound, they got into the actual publication of the game. And one of the, I guess, mysteries is, how did THQ ever agree to publish its Mr. Pants in any capacity at all? But it was confirmed that Rare shrewdly made a deal with THQ that if they wanted to publish... if they wanted to publish Grunty's Revenge...
Sorry, I have to say priceless every time you say THQ.
Oh.
Because at the beginning of Saberwolf GBA, he comes out, picks up the THQ logo, and goes, priceless.
I was wondering. Okay. Well, ironically, not long after this, THQ would be worthless. Because
that's why it's funny. I'm not weren't they even worthless before the Saberwolf was released, making it even more ironic?
I'm not really too up on my history of the studio. I just know or the publishing house, but I know they didn't have long to live.
That's why I embraced that quote, because the irony is just delicious.
Yeah, as I mentioned last week, THQ is back though, at least in name only.
Yes, terrible, horrible Quagmire or something.
Right. But yeah, so Grunty's Revenge was the big get because it was a new Banjo game that they could publish, and Banjo was still a huge IP. This wasn't too far removed from the N64 era in 2003 when Grunty's Revenge came out. So, the fact that THQ could publish a Banjo game, they jumped on that. The caveat was they would have to publish the other GBA games that Rare had in development that weren't Donkey Kong related. So... Banjo Pilot was, I'm sure, another one they would have jumped at, but they would also have to publish Saberwolf for the Game Boy Advance, and it's Mr. Pants. But THQ kind of got maybe the last laugh on that, because it never said in the contract, I guess, how many they had to publish.
Oh.
So as a result, they published a very minimal amount of copies for the game. Only, and I didn't know how many were actually ever made. According to this video, 20,000 copies were made, which is
insane.
An absurdly small amount.
I just bought a new sealed in-box version off of Amazon super cheap, so I don't get how that's possible if they're so rare.
Because nobody really wants it. I think what
maybe.
this video will do, though, because this video has had pretty positive reception, it's going to definitely make people seek out the game. It's also going to drive up prices on copies of the game, because people are all about rare games. There is a whole market for game collecting at this point.
Especially rare games.
Yeah, so a game that only has 20,000 copies, that's an absurdly small amount when you consider, the print run of a lot of titles.
Yeah, I definitely recommend buying it if you don't. Amazon has it new, crazily enough, and there's even a poster in the box for It's Mr. Pants. I guess they wanted you to promote it by sticking it around cities or something.
Yeah, right. Banksy is infamous for going around making...
Pantsy.
Yeah. Making Mr. Pants art. He's particular a fan of Saddle the Horse.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. He's into pony play is what I'm saying. So,
what an animorph.
And then the part of the video that perked my ears up, and many a DK Vine's ears up, Paul Makachek talked about the Wikipedia wars that erupted over the character of Mr. Pants. Why was this interesting for DK Vine? Well, because we're responsible for the Wikipedia wars.
That's pretty awesome.
I know I played a heavy role in this, and I can't remember if I'm the one who created the article for Mr. Pants. I think I was. If I wasn't, I'm the one who did the bulk of editing for it.
Yeah. Just say you did.
A couple of other people on the DK Vine forum, contributed as well. But at that point, what happened was I created or had a hand in creating a lengthy article on Mr. Pants. This is in the infancy of Wikipedia too. Mm-hmm. And this is when making Wikipedia entries seemed like a cool thing to do. I'm actually contributing to this, and I'm leaving my mark on society. And to a certain extent that's still true, but that was before it became apparent that Wikipedia editors also are very territorial and can be massive pricks.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I use Wikipedia all the time. I think it's a fine resource when you put it in proper perspective. But
especially to cite on college papers. They
love it, yeah. Kong college papers accept it because Wrinkly Kong, her ghost is just cool like that.
Yeah. So,
yeah, basically we created this article for Mr. Pants, and it was tagged for deletion almost immediately. So in the comments section, I made the case that, hey, this is the mascot for a well-known studio, and he is the star of his own video game. So therefore, he is the equivalent of Mario for Nintendo. Why should he not have his own Wikipedia entry?
That's so far is sound logic, actually.
Eventually, we lost the argument, and the Mr. Pants page was deleted. Now, typing in Mr. Pants in Wikipedia will direct you to the It's Mr. Pants page. So Mr. Pants isn't worthy to get his own Wikipedia entry, but the game It's Mr. Pants has its own.
That makes no sense. He's appeared in multiple games.
He's appeared in multiple games, at least 2. He was dancing on TV in Banjo-Tooie. How does that not warrant a Wikipedia article?
Some people.
I'm still bitter about this, by the way. I still
Snowden,
carry
dude.
these scars, but to hear, I'm glad that Paul Magachek was following this, and that people at Rare were following this back in, I guess it would be 2005 when we did this. And,
This was like our version of WikiLeaks.
right. Eventually, I'm going to run off to Russia and align myself with Putin and disrupt U.S. elections.
And that you're going to align yourself with the Tetris creator who's really mad about the whole Czech.
That's right. And all in the name of disrupting U.S. elections and in the honor of Mr. Pants.
Yes.
So, yeah, I that just, it warmed the cockles of my heart that people at Rare were paying attention.
As it should. That's really cool.
I don't think they knew it was us, though. So
Probably not, but
yeah.
Does it really matter? You made a mark.
Yeah. So, yeah. One other thing from this video that was interesting is Rob.
Speaking of marks.
What's that?
Speaking of marks.
Yes. Speaking of marks, Robin Beanland wanted to clarify how much he loves It's Mr. Pants. So the other month, he performed at Video Games Live with David Wise. They did some music from Donkey Kong Country.
I believe we have a video of that on our
We
channel.
do. Check that out on our YouTube channel. So there was a meet and greet afterwards, and I guess like at Comic-Con they had like name tags in front of them, and in front of the name tags there was a piece of paper that described all the games they had worked on. And so on Robin's sheet, it had been made by Video Games Live themselves, and it listed Conquer's Bad Fur Day, Killer Instinct, and Jet Force Gemini. So with his marker, Robin added "It's Mr. Pants" underneath that.
That is so great.
And I love that, you know, this is a game that only 20,000 copies were made. Not even 20,000 copies sold, mind you.
That is just perfect. I mean, even the fact that it was in marker, you know, like,
right.
it's so perfect.
That's great. So I love that they're still proud of it and that they recognize it does have its fans, even if we're few and far and weird between.
All 4 of us.
Yeah. So that's all we learned about It's Mr. Pants. But interesting revelations. I'm glad that we have more context behind the creation of this game.
Yeah, I can't believe they did a Rare revealed on it.
So yeah, it's such a great time to be a Rare fan, and I know I keep saying that, but I mean between Playtonic and Rare themselves, and how open Rare is now about their past and their history, and it's
very cool.
This is the most fun time it is to be a Rare fan since the glory days on the N64. So I mean,
wow. Yeah.
And I should be pointing out that it's really fun to read, for once, to read the YouTube comments underneath this video, because it's all mostly people just getting into the spirit of It's Mr. Pants. A lot of people saying, I never knew about this game. I've got to find a copy.
Which is great.
Some people... One person was asking if Mr. Pants was going to be in Sea of Thieves, and so I commented on the DK Vine account that his ancestor, Captain Pantaloon of the HMS, or no, Captain Pants of the HMS Pantaloon, should be
good to me.
in Sea of Thieves, and somebody on the Rare account replied, admonishing me like in good fun, and yeah,
Be careful what you wish for.
yeah, I'm hoping Captain Pants is somewhere in the game, because it's got to be
Or at least like a pirate flag that's just a pair of red pants. That would be awesome.
well, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping the ancestor of Mr. Pants was a pirate, or what maybe was a famed pirate hunter, even at that.
Doubloons and pantaloons.
Doubloons and pantaloons. That could be the new name for fish and chaps on our forum.
No, not a bad idea.
Ah. Anyway, any final thoughts you have on the recent reveals for It's Mr. Pants?
Super cool to hear that they remember and care. I mean, of course they remember, but that they enjoyed working on It's Mr. Pants, and that I think it's sort of the first instance of like all the things we sort of read into it and assumed were like spot on, like that it was all about just embracing absurdity, that it was like all that, like it wasn't just some throwaway moneymaker title. Like they put love and soul into this, and it's awesome to hear about.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the most rare game I've ever played. So,
yes.
And it's a puzzle game, and I know that could be off-putting to people, especially if you like platformers.
I know, I'm going to go back to it and try to finally beat it.
But, I mean, it's also a puzzle game with mythology baked in. And like, just inane, like, ridiculous mythology. But as you unlock, you unlock things, you unlock art pieces that are in a gallery that kind of show you more of Mr. Pants' world, and just, I mean, the fact that he has a bastard child named Toby, like, what? With a woman named Mrs. Pie, and that he shot...
And Helpo.
Yeah, Helpo, his robotic light bulb helper, who's a little boy who speaks in a Cockney accent. Like, he shot Toby into space in a homemade rocket, and they befriended an alien that they named Pluto Pants. They met an alien, and they stuck a pair of underpants on his head.
Well, that's what you do.
And not only did that not start an intergalactic war, but Pluto Pants immediately became best friends with Mr. Pants. Like that.
Pants is the answer to everything.
That's the absurdity of Mr. Pants, is that he charms everybody he meets and has no enemies. He's just, and he's like this, to quote Paul Makachek, a slightly pervy guy who.
Yeah, that's why we implore you, if you haven't played the game, get it, because he might just charm the pants off of you.
This has been a File 2 production.
Qué rico.